Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So what I'm calling the mass exodus of listings is still continuing right now. So our inventory numbers are dropping, which is, I guess, a good thing for sellers. We're still super high, but just the numbers are a little skewed every week because of how many properties are coming off the market. So looking at what happened last week, in Georgetown we had 8 sales. That's a good week for Georgetown. I mean, it's not super high, but it's not like the 3 to 5 that, really indicate that the buyers are not doing anything. So 8 sales last week. We only had 8 new listings. We really start to see listings slow down in November, and we're definitely feeling that right now. There were weeks where we were seeing 20 plus new listings. So to only have 8, which matches our sales, is really good news for the sellers out there that, that influx of listings hitting the market is slowing down. Looking at Acton this week, they had 2 sales and 3 new listings, so not a bad week for Acton. Glen Williams saw 1 sale and no new listings, and there was no sales or no new listings in Limehouse or the rural market. It's the first time in a while we haven't seen anything happening in the rural market, and again, super saturated there, so it will be interesting to watch what happens with pricing in the rural pocket. One of the things we've been watching for the last few weeks because of what's going on in the market is the adjustment of properties. So properties coming off the market, properties changing their pricing, all of those things. So last week in Halton Hills, we had 22 properties that were impacted. When I did the expireds and terminateds, 22 came up. Of those 22 properties, 11 of them, so half of the properties, completely came off the market and haven't relisted. So even though our inventory, we had 11 sales and 10 new listings, our inventory dropped way more than that because 11 properties just completely exited the market. So that is just, it's changing the landscape of where our market's going. And then of the 22, 10 of them reduced their price. Interestingly, 2 of those 10 reduced, one 200, one 250, and they're holding off offers now, which we all know how I feel about that strategy in this market. So it will be interesting as people are dropping prices and holding off offers, like buyers are just not biting on that. And so, I mean, if you go from 125 to 999, no buyer right now is going to give you like 1.2 for your property. It's just, you're probably at $999 getting closer to where the actual value of your home is. So it's just a really interesting time that we're seeing some people trying to hold off offers, and I'm gonna watch the properties that did that this week and sort of see how they pan out. And then we had 1 property of the 22 that tried the underlisting, didn't get any activity, and relisted at a higher price. So 11 off the market, 10 of them reduced their price, 8 of those being actual price reductions and 2 people trying to play the, offer night game. And then 1 person, offer night game didn't work, relisted. So lots of sort of back end activity that I mean, when the market's busy, I never cover these numbers because they're not that interesting, but it really is interesting to see how many sellers are like, this market sucks. We are going to just not try and sell our house right now. And the people that are staying on the market, a lot of those people have to sell. So it's an interesting time for buyers to get some good deals. So moving on to active inventory. Last week we were at 221 properties available in Halton Hills. We are down to 210. Still insanely high compared to where we came from like last year, but 210 is a far cry from the 230 plus that we had, and I really thought we were going to keep going up, but with the amount of properties coming on the market, it's just not happening. So now looking at active inventory, all of Halton Hills last week was at 221 listings. We are down to 210 active listings. It's still an extremely high number. There is still so many more houses available than there was this time last year, but it's definitely not climbing right now. And we may have hit our peak the week that we had, what did we have? 230 active listings was the peak that we saw. And I really thought it was going to climb more from there, but just that sheer volume of properties that are coming off the market is really keeping things at bay. So looking at Georgetown last week was at 136. It's down to 127 listings. Tons of people are not getting the results they want and they're coming off. every active price point saw a drop last week. So under 800,000 went from 17 to 16 active listings. There are so many condo townhouses and condo apartments available right now, but 16 available properties under 800,000. 800 to a million went from 36 to 34. I mean, it's good that that price point is dropping. That's really kind of the pocket where we're seeing still the majority of activity in terms of sales, but 34 is still one of the highest numbers we've seen in that price point. 1 to 1.5 million is down from 55 to 52. Again, this poor price point, I just like, you know, it's a tricky price point to navigate. This is the one where we are seeing the most up and down in terms of price reductions. People just like, you know, over a million, it just, your buying pool shrinks because it's buyers that need to have at least 20% down. So just in general, over $1 million, there's less buyers. But this price point is really tricky because there's still some like small bungalows in the Delrex area asking over $1 million. And then you've got like decent sized houses in Georgetown South getting like under 1.2. And you're like, if you can do like the numbers just don't make sense right now. And that pocket especially is really struggling to sort of like find their ground on where the values of houses are and finding buyers. And the 1.5 million plus went from 28 to 25 active listings. Lots coming off the market. I mean, that price point is dead as can be. I don't know if anything sold in the last few weeks over a couple like slightly over 1.5. I don't know if any over 2 million. So really tricky price point to navigate over 1.5 because there's just not a lot of buyers there. So in Acton this week, only market that went up, it went from 26 to 27 active listings. Not anything crazy, but it's still sitting very high. Acton, we're usually like under 15 active listings. So lots of stuff available, especially under $1 million in Acton. Glen Williams is down from 12 to 10 active listings. Limehouse remained the same at 1, and the rural market is down from 46 to 45. But 45 active listings in the rural market, like, holy cow, there is so much stuff available. And the rural market starts now over 1.2 million. So there's tons of stuff available, but it's all in price points that are dead. So like, that's a hard one, and that's one of the pockets too that we're seeing a lot of people come off the market because it's a really bad time to sell your house. Like there's no way around it. It's not a great time to sell your house, and so a lot of people are hoping that come the spring, if interest rates don't go up, maybe even if we start to see maybe a reduction in interest rates, they're hoping that the market bounces back. The biggest factor that's going to lead to that is if our inventory can come down, or if all these people that are on the market now have to sell and they maintain themselves on the market, and our sales die through to the new year come December 1st. Very low sales that we see in the month of December. So, you know, we kind of got this window in November where these sellers are hoping to sell, but after that, it gets tricky to find a buyer for, you know, 6 to 8 weeks after that. So overall, the market is doing better than it felt like it was doing 3-4 weeks ago, in the sense that our inventory doesn't feel like it's going out of control. We are seeing a decent amount in sales in Georgetown, because when those sales die off, the whole market just feels it. So there are some positives that came out of this week, and even last week sort of trickling into this week. So there's some positives, but like I still can't say it's a good time to be selling your house. If you're a buyer, there are some deals and you got to shoot your shot. You know, even if a listing, I had a client get a listing almost $100,000 under asking last week because he just shot his shot, right? So, and the sellers needed to sell. And that's what can happen on a lot of properties. So, weird stuff going on, but overall, doing a trend that we're used to seeing for November. You know, we're seeing the listings really slow down, and coupled with listings coming off the market, it's really kind of changing the numbers this week. So anyways, I will be back next Tuesday to see what happens. Have a great week, everyone.